Good evening and welcome to the Middleton Common Council. I'm calling the meeting to order and requesting assistance on roll call.
Alder Shaver,
Here.
Alder Madden,
Here.
Alder Kalish is absent and excused. Mayor Kuhn, Alder Nelson,
Here.
Alder Myers,
Present.
Alder Hanairo,
Here.
Alder Lorman,
Here.
Alder Crow.
Here.
Moving on to public comments.
Yes, we have quite a few tonight. And I also have a couple of emails that I'd like to have been requested that I read into the public record. We're gonna start with Adrian Rivard. Hi, Adrian. If you're willing, come right up to the microphone and then just so that it's recorded, give us your name and your address, and then you have 3 minutes, and I'll kind of do this when your
Okay,
time is running.
all right. My name is Adrienne Rivard and I live at 6639 Maywood Avenue. And the reason I came tonight was I wanted to speak to you about the Parisi Park shelter. I've lived here in this neighborhood right near Parisi Park for a number of years, and it's a beautiful little gem of a park. And I've kind of seen it throughout the years. My oldest, we moved in when he was just 1 year old, and now he's a senior just graduated 18 years old now. So we've seen the evolution of the park. And of course, once upon a time, there was restrooms that were available for use and a drinking fountain. And while the park still gets quite a bit of use, the facilities really could use an upgrade. And so I really wanted to come and support the project on behalf of the neighborhood and the community. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've been through and seen all of the the T-ball games going on and the family gatherings and lots of people using the park. And my youngest son actually made a remark as we were walking through the last weekend that he wished that the water fountain actually went over to use the water fountain and wasn't able to use it. So it's a great park. There's a lot of community members that are using it. The basketball facilities that were just put in are really fabulous, but really needing the additional facilities, and would love to see an upgrade there and think that it could continue to add a great deal to our neighborhood. And I just wanted to come and tell you all about how important it is to our little neighborhood and really to support the shelter improvements.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Next is David Shaw.
David Shaw, 1337 North High Point Road, former member of the Park Commission. I'm here also to speak in favor of the shelter at Parisi Park. I was at the Park Commission when we were looking at plans, and I understand there might have been a little disappointment in some of the bids and the price, and I understand that. But I know from a personal perspective at this point that pricing for any construction project is way up in the air, and it's not going to get any better. And I encourage you to buy into this now while we can. I think that with looking back at this later, I think it was a good deal, and we should certainly move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Next is Michelle Bond.
Hello, I'm Michelle Bond. I'm here as a resident and also as a member of the Parks and Rec. And Parisi Park is a great park. The facilities would be an amazing addition to our community. My concern is the price difference from going from 500 to needing quite a bit additional money. We have a capital improvement request for several playgrounds that we're looking to improve due to safety and age of the playground equipment, which is around 300,000. And that's about the additional money that would need to be spent to build the structure at Parisi Park. So I appreciate all of your time and listening. And I think just as a fiscal thing, I think we should be responsible. And we have a lot of parks that we need to take care of and be good stewards of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex and I live on Franklin, so right by this park. And just so you all know, because I don't know if all of you visit the park, but for this whole year, the bathroom has been closed. And it's the only park that's really within walking distance for my family, which is here, so you get to see some kids. And so it'd be lovely to have a bathroom that works. I honestly, for me personally, don't care if you repair whatever needs to be repaired or just open them again. I don't even know all the issues, but I know that it's closed and I can't use it then. There's a porta potty. I don't personally enjoy using porta potties too much. My kids don't either. That's where my child plays baseball there or kickball or whatever it's called. So having a bathroom would be really important. I've heard that it's not ADA compliant currently, so that seems pretty important. We want our facilities to be accessible. I would love to see that. And I don't know any details, but I've heard that this is kind of use it or lose it funding. And if that is the case, then, like I said, there's no bathroom there right now that is open to the public. So whether you do it now or lose this funding and use other funding, I mean, seems to make sense to me to just use funding now rather than later if things are getting more expensive. But like I said, to me, I just want to have a bathroom that we can use. And a drinking fountain, yeah. So I think I went over all the things I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Next is Marnie Ginsburg.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marnie Ginsburg and I live at 7101 Franklin Avenue in Middleton, and I'm here representing myself this evening. So as my husband who just spoke before me said, we live right by the park, and it's a really amazing asset for our community. It has been a big bummer this summer that the bathrooms and water fountain have not been in use, especially because I know that park is very heavily used by a huge swath of our community, not just our neighborhood, whether it's T-ball or other people coming to play basketball and things like that. So I don't know all the details as well of this project, but my understanding is that this is developer funds, which are not taxpayer dollars that are going into renovating this. So my understanding that this would be a good use of those funds. And so I'm in support of that as a taxpayer and constituent. Also knowing that if the bathrooms are in disrepair and cannot be opened as is and repairs are needed, that would potentially come out of taxpayer funds, which would impact us. So I would be in support of using the developer funds for this project, which already has had, it sounds like quite a bit of money invested in creation of the plans as well. So to kind of have that money be lost at the last minute would be unfortunate. So thank you.
Thank you, Marnie. Next up is Erin Summers.
Hello, Erin Summers, 6811 North Avenue. Speaking on behalf of myself tonight, I live about a block and a half from Parisi Park. I wrote in earlier today to Council, Finance, and PRFC recommending the use of park development and improvement funds to bridge the gap between the capital allotment for this project and the low bid amount from Advanced Building Corporation. I'm here tonight to make additional note that it is no surprise that the construction budgets for this project have risen, as have all commercial projects industry-wide, given tariff-driven material increases. In the 3-3 split vote by PRFC last night, it would appear there is some confusion over where park development funds come from and how they can be used. As a former Parks Commissioner for Middleton, I can speak to the fact that there are very specific state requirements for using park development funds, and the addition of year-round restrooms that are ADA accessible at Parisi Park is a perfect example of that intended use. The funds cannot be used to simply plant trees or other suggestions that were made during the PRFC discussion last night from those opposing the fund approval. I want to make very clear, since this was already spoken to tonight, that these funds are separate from capital funds. Playground requests out of capital budget are completely separate from the park development funds we are talking about tonight. It is vital to note that these funds are from developers who are required to pay the city fees in lieu when their development does not provide park or recreation areas for their apartment tenants. It is therefore of the utmost importance that we as a city responsibly use these funds to improve the existing park facilities we have to meet the needs of our growing community. Funds not used to go to waste are returned to the developer, which should never happen. This project has already been fully designed and has been approved since 2021 as a part of the city's goal to increase our ADA compliance in parks. Please take strong consideration in approving the use of park development funds for Parisi Park tonight, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Erin. Next up is Aria Summers. Aria, be free to move the microphone however you need it so that it works for you.
Good
And you don't
evening.
have to say your address.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Aria Summers, and I live at 6811 North Avenue. That is 2 blocks away from Parisi Park. And I think that it is very important that you vote in favor of approving funds for the new park shelter, because my brothers and I use the park regularly, and the bathrooms are scary to my brothers and only open in the summer. Also, a lot of people running and biking on Pheasant Branch, like my family, need access to facilities all year round. Please vote to approve the park funds, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aria. You did that in record time. That was very good. Next is Teague Pritchard.
Good evening, council members, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm not here to speak about Parisi Park, but I'm here to speak in favor of the B-Cycle program. I live at 6423 Hubbard Avenue, a longtime good neighbor. And my B-Cycle story started a few years ago with my 2 boys that grew up in Middleton, went to UW-Madison. They invited me down for a B-Cycle ride around campus, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I was able to keep up with them, enjoy the city. We toured all over. We went to Fitchburg, we went to Monona, and it was really a game changer for me. And while I was riding, I was wondering, why doesn't Middleton have this? Why isn't Middleton the rest of the communities? And it really changed the way that I thought about transportation, about how we enjoy our city, recreation, tourism, businesses, all the things that come with B-Cycle. It's really an affordable, it's an accessible, it's a community connector. So we got great assets in Middleton. We've got a great bike infrastructure already built. B-Cycle is a natural fit for our community. And your vote tonight, I think with 80% of the startup costs covered by a federal transportation grant, it's a no-brainer in terms of a win-win for the city. And lastly, I want to encourage you, August 20th, we're going to host B-Cycle Day down at Stonehorse Green at 4 o'clock. Come out and test ride a B-Cycle, look at a docking station. And then at 5:30, I also help lead a community e-bike group ride out of Capitol Brewery. And we get folks from in town and out of town, and we tour all the great assets. So we're going to have a community ride at 5:30 and tour some of the potential B-Cycle locations in Middleton. So I encourage you to get out there and give it a test ride. It's a game changer for me, and it'll be a game changer for you. So appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight on support of B-Cycle. Thank you.
Thanks, Teague. Am I right that we talked the other day when I was out walking my dog?
Yeah.
And you said that you're a leader of the e-bike group from
I
the
call it more
brewery?
an organizer of the e-bike group out of Capitol Brewery.
So
This
that's
is,
cool.
yeah, this is our second year doing it.
If we had B-Cycles, you could also join that group.
B-Cycle has shown up 4 or 5 times and offered rentals and people to test ride them. So they've been tremendously supportive of that group on Wednesday nights. And we've had lots of folks test ride them and use them on those rides. So, and it's a great way to showcase the Middleton city, all our amenities on there. So they love it. So people keep coming back. So
Thanks, Teague.
yeah, you bet.
Does anybody else here have any comments, or anyone on Zoom? If not, I have these 2 emails. Pardon? Oh, Mary Bechtel? Okay, go ahead.
Please raise your virtual hand.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay,
Yep.
super. Thank you. I'm just calling in today as a resident of North Avenue. Parisi Park is also our neighborhood park, and I'm in strong support of using the park development fund dollars on the Parisi Park redevelopment project. I think anyone that uses it, even as a runner, not in the area, but especially if you have kids, having an all-year bathroom is an absolute game changer in terms of accessibility. Not to mention the fact that the park development fund dollars should be used for things like making it ADA accessible. So I just wanted to call in and voice my strong support for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, if there's no one else, I'm going to read the 2 emails that I have received, and also I'm going to count up the number of emails I've received today in support of Parisi Park. This email is from Sarah Wood. Unfortunately, she does not give her address on the email. I'm writing to voice my support for the Parisi Park structure funding. This park is beloved and I've been enjoying it with my children for 20 years. I love seeing people playing basketball, baseball, and gathering for picnics with friends. It has needed new facilities for ages, and I know that a lot of work went into the planning. It would be a waste of time, a waste of that time and money to stop the project now. Pheasant Branch is the gem of our city, and this facility should match our community's commitment to our parks. Thank you for listening, Sarah Wood. I also have an email. Oh, Sarah Wood is from 6918 Maywood Avenue. Thank you, Mayor. I have an email from Erin Summers. I know she spoke, but she also asked me to read this email into the record. Dear members of the City of Middleton Finance and Personnel Committee, Common Council, and Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Commission, I am writing to express strong support for the use of park development funds toward the construction of a new shelter at Parisi Park, which is before Finance and Council tonight. This facility has already been designed in full and has been approved by PRFC since 2021. Facing many delays and setbacks with changes in legislation on park development funds. It would be irresponsible at this point not to see the project through to completion. This park serves as a major access point on the Pheasant Branch corridor, one of the most heavily used recreational routes in our city for runners, bikers, and outdoor enthusiasts. Yet despite its key location and increasing use, there are no year-round restroom facilities available at Parisi Park. This is a glaring and unacceptable gap in infrastructure that hinders access, comfort, and overall usability of this vital community asset. Let us be clear about the purpose of park development funds. These funds are collected from developers, not taxpayers, as fees in lieu of dedicating green space in their developments. They exist for one reason: to enhance and develop our public parks. Failure to allocate these funds for projects like the Parisi Park Shelter not only neglects this original purpose, but can result in the funds being returned to the developers, which is a squandered opportunity to invest in long-term community improvement. As a former PRFC representative and current Plan Commission representative for the city, I feel that Parisi Park is overdue for a functional year-round shelter that serves the needs of our residents and visitors alike. To deny this project is to ignore the growing demand on our park system and to turn away from the clear intent of park development funds. I ask you to act in the best interests of the community, uphold the intent of these funds, and support the well-justified development of this much-needed facility. Investing in our parks is not optional. It is essential to maintaining the high quality of life that makes Middleton such an attractive place to live, work, and play. Respectfully, Erin Summers, 6811 North Avenue, Saks Woods neighborhood. Are there any other comments for tonight?
We have Scott Wiener has
Yes.
Wiener.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Scott Wiener. I'm president of the Capitol Brewery and the Capitol Brewery Bicycle Club. And I just echo Teague Pritchard's comments about the B-Cycle, what the B-Cycle program could bring to Middleton. We started the bike club about 17, 18 years ago. We had 5 people hanging around the beer garden, and we said we should probably organize this. Now we have over 200 paid members annually. Teague is our e-bike evangelist, and he came to me a little over 2 years ago and said we should add an e-bike night. And I said, well, Wednesdays are open, and it's grown to he's marshaled that and administered it, and he's our group leader. We've grown to 20 to 25 people just organically, just to ride the e-bikes. I'm convinced that having a B-cycle station at the brewery and all over Middleton would really, really boost the awareness of Middleton's fabulous bicycle infrastructure. I travel a lot, and I Boulder, Denver, Milwaukee, Madison all have fabulous e-bike infrastructure programs. And to me, it's really the future. In 5 to 10 years, I'll be over 70, and I'll be riding an e-bike, and I will be glad to have them more available. It's just really a game changer as far as mobility and tourism, boosting tourism. It's just a win-win-win for everyone. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. And we have,
And then lastly, I've got Cecil Huber, who has written in the chat, says, hello, my name is Cecil Huber, and I reside at 6647 Columbus Drive, mere steps from Precy Park. I'm also voicing my strong support of upgrades and construction at Precy Park. As a person who walks through this park multiple times a day, I can tell you that the park is used by dozens of people each day. This is a wonderful community resource and should be a wonderful showcase of the City of Middleton's commitment to creating equitable spaces for our community.
thank you.
That's great. Glad to hear from Cecily.
I would like to relay 2 comments from constituents. I'll do Precy Park first. This one is from Steve Schulfer, who lives on Frank Lloyd Wright Avenue. He said, City of Middleton representatives, I'm writing to communicate my support for the proposed shelter facility improvements to Precy Park. I respectfully ask for your consideration and votes to approve the project construction as proposed. As a city resident and frequent user of the Pheasant Branch Creek Corridor Trail, I believe this shelter and the proposed improvements are a necessary place for public respite and a modernized restroom option for users of the park and adjacent trail alike. Precy Park can be a much improved asset in the community with a new shelter and restrooms. The condition of this aged existing facility is simply inadequate and in dire need of replacement. Funding sources for this facility are established using developer contributions, minimizing the taxpayer burden. Project costs will not be lower in future years, so I believe now is the time to complete this project. And then finally, a comment on in support of B-Cycle. Middleton Common Council members, while visiting with a friend in Monona this morning, I came across this bike sharing station located within a couple 100 feet of a hotel, 2 apartment buildings, and public green space. And there's a picture. Seeing this station prompted me to wonder about Madison B-Cycle's current geographic reach. Whereas Monona and Fitchburg have joined Madison in actively supporting B-Cycle, there is a glaring gap in the western portion of the metro area. Thanks to the initiative of Teague Pritchard, Capital Brewery, and numerous others, there is renewed community support for expanding the B-Cycle system into Middleton to benefit the city's residents and businesses. I am also pleased to read in the July 10 Ped Bike Transit Committee meeting minutes that there is growing awareness that bike share systems have a positive impact on tourism. I seek out bike share systems whenever I travel to other cities and have even chosen lodging based on proximity to a bike sharing station. Adopting Resolution 2025-35 is a key step toward finally bringing B-Cycle to Middleton. As you move forward, I hope that you are able to leverage both federal TAP grant program funds and city room tax dollars to implement and operate the system, building on the 2-phase approach that city officials discussed several years ago. Thank you for your consideration. Mark Opitz.
Are you sure it's Mark?
No puns?
Brian, do you need, did you get all the names of the people who emailed, or do you need a copy of those for records for Lori? Can the alders just forward those emails, the 2 from
To
yours?
Brian?
To Brian, so
Of
he
course.
can share with Lori for notes. That would be helpful. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for for speaking up and for reading for our constituents. Moving on to presentation. Update on the Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law federal funding.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. And there's something for Matt Fleming tonight as well. Exciting. I'm here to talk about the federal funding of the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure law and how that was changed in HR 1, which was signed into law on July 4th. Some refer to this congressional budget bill as the One Big Beautiful Bill, the OBBB. Included in HR 1 are significant changes to the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act and Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, particularly the tax credits and elective pay, or we also call it direct pay for wind and solar projects. The Trump administration took a further step to limit wind and solar growth with an executive order on July 7th to limit the workarounds that cities might come up with to requirements to put forward that were put forward in the HR 1. However, just to remind you, executive orders are not law, and growth in renewables in the first 9 months of 2024 accounted for over 90% of new electricity generating capacity in the United States, with solar accounting for 78% of that new capacity. So I would say we cannot go back, and we won't go back, specifically when solar and wind added 24,000 megawatts during that 9 months alone of 2024. Could you go to the next slide? Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go through 3 or 4 slides. For wind and solar, if you can begin construction on a solar project in the city and spend 5% of project costs, which we call safe harbor, by December 31st, 2025, then your project will be able to take the 30% elective pay rebate of the project cost. That means a cash payout of 30% of your total project cost. For example, McFarland recently received a very, very large check, almost of $1 million back on their net zero public safety building due to elective pay projects. If we would begin construction before July 4th of 2026 on a solar project, we would have 4 years to put the project into service, but we would be subject to meeting really stringent prohibited foreign entity rules, which have been made it makes it nearly impossible to do a solar project. If you began solar construction on after July 4, 2026, then you would need to complete the project by December 27, about less than a year or 1 year. And you would lose after that all eligibility, and the credit ends in 2027 for wind and solar. For electric vehicles must be purchased and placed in service before September 30th, 2025, when the credit ends abruptly. That's for residents nationwide and also for entities like cities and businesses. For electric vehicle charging, the city of Middleton is not eligible for this credit because it was really meant to be used in rural areas or low-income areas, and we don't have any of those certified areas in Middleton. Geothermal, however, and energy storage, those credits have not gone away, and those will be available through 2033. They will be subject to prohibitive foreign entity rules, but it will be much easier to meet those because a lot of that equipment can be sourced domestically. It wouldn't come necessarily from China. Thank you. And what I would say about this is the actual mechanism of elective pay has not changed, meaning that the IRS still has the mechanism of elective pay and you can still use it. So they haven't taken that completely away. And there seems to be no intent from the IRS to withhold payment. Any delays in payments coming from the IRS right now are due to staffing reductions and capacity in the IRS. They want to pay out those credits because anything that's late, they must provide interest on those payments. So it's in their best interest to pay them as soon as they possibly can. And some credits do allow adder bonuses to make it even more worth your while, and those have also not gone away at this point.
For the July 7th executive order, it was issued to further prohibit wind and solar development by restricting entities from artificially speeding up their projects or finding workarounds to circumvent the use of the 5% safe harbor, which is defined as spending 5% of your project costs before the tax credit phase-out deadlines. Further guidance on this executive order has been promised for mid-August, and it's also, again, important to note that EOs are not law, and many EOs have been challenged in court. So for what the term beginning of construction means, to satisfy beginning of construction, wind and solar projects must either meet the physical work test or the 5% safe harbor provision. Physical work means that the owner or the contractor that's under a signed contract must have begun significant work on site. And that does not include design services. It doesn't include permitting or clearing the site. It means the contractor's on site with solar panels actively working on the project. To prevent your project being subject to restrictive prohibited foreign entity material rules, solar projects must begin before December 31st, 2025. After that, everything gets really difficult to do in order to receive that tax credit. Solar and wind projects must begin construction by July 4th, 2026, as I've gone over. And we have to finish them before 2027 to claim any credit at all if we wanted to take that credit. For foreign entity rules, this is what was put into HR 1 to make solar difficult. HR 1 introduced prohibitive foreign entity rules to solar and wind primarily, and there are 3 types of tests for all entities. And when I say entity, the city of Middleton would be considered an entity. The first question and test you have to pass is, are you a prohibited foreign entity? Is Middleton China or Iran, or Russia or North Korea? And there's 2 categories of that entity level. There's specified foreign entities and foreign influence entities. I think perhaps the only aspect of this that Middleton would have to look into with Matt and other legal experts would be, does Middleton, have we sold 15% or more of our debt in aggregate to countries, perhaps through municipal bonds? I don't know anything about that, but that's the only catch that I've heard of there from different experts that I've talked to. There's another rule, the payments rules, and that applies to any payment made to a specified foreign entity under broad contract terms that would deem to confer effective control over a qualified facility or energy storage. So we would definitely need legal advice on all of our contracts and who we pay and who we pay, what their own business is made up of. And then lastly, the material assistance rules, and this applies to supply chains. So for example, if you were to buy solar panels, you would need to look at where were the solar panels made, and not only the panels, but even small components of the panels. And so no one really knows at this point what that means and how far up the supply chain that goes. So it gets really complex. And we would need to have another entity probably look through our contract documents as well as the supply specs from the contractor to see where in that we would comply or not comply. So lastly, I would say, to sum up, my next steps and recommendations to the city would be to purchase electric vehicles if possible before September 30th, 2025, and take delivery of them in order to get the $7,500 rebate on the models which qualify for that. Secondly, assess if there are any solar projects that could begin construction before this December, which is highly unlikely. It takes a long time in the bidding process and the design process to do that, but I want to make sure that council knows that option in case there's any direction to really try to fast track this. Proceed with obligated funding. We have funding under contract that's obligated already by, for the $13.2 million EV charging grant with Dane County, a $4 million grant for energy code, efficient energy codes, our carbon emission program grant through WISTOT for our streetlight replacement. All that funding has already been obligated to our city, and we should continue those projects and continue to draw down the money from those projects. That's the guidance we've been given, and that's what we're legally allowed as a city with obligated funds from Congress. And please help me spread the word to residents that funding still does exist for them to decarbonize their homes through Focus on Energy Homes and HERE programs. Those programs, Wisconsin was the first state to receive and get their ducks in a row and get funding obligated for those programs. And so that money is there and it's obligated and ready for residents to use. The EV credit does end on September 30th of this year, so tell your residents that are interested in EVs to immediately purchase one if they're interested to get that rebate. And Energy Star has been preserved so far in the Senate, that program. And then I would say, work with the city attorney to work through some of these sticky points that we don't understand on projects, and proceed with clean energy projects. 90% of new energy expenditures wouldn't have come online in '24 if they didn't make financial sense with or without these tax credits. The tax credits were meant to accelerate an already very viable energy transition. And our city plans and policies all support these projects. So there's no real time to slow down. It's just forging ahead. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Thank you for that, Kelly. As you know, you read my newsletter. I just addressed this in the newsletter because I too am trying to speed up some of the transition in my home away from fossil fuels to go completely carbon free. And that's what I'm working on now. I have a couple of questions. One, have we gotten, I know we have made purchases that qualify. So have we gotten our funding from the federal government for those purchases?
We have not. We would only be able to apply for a few vehicle rebates, and we need to still apply for those
Okay.
to get those, but we have not received any cash in hand.
Is there a deadline for getting that cash?
There are deadlines. You can get extensions for 6 months, but there are deadlines within the tax year for applying for those funds.
Okay. And then, thinking of solar, I asked about this in the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. The two wells and I didn't bring the golf course up then, but the golf course clubhouse and the two wells, we had ARPA projects to fund the wells at least, and then we decided to move that to the water utility. Is it too late to get those 3 solar arrays moving? I'm disappointed that they didn't go forward. I don't know where the disconnect was, but it sure would be nice to try to get at least one of those installed.
Yeah, we'd have to see if it's possible to get design. Well, first we'd need to secure funding to spend the funding this year. We wouldn't be able to push the payment off until 2026, or at least the 5% safe harbor. So we'd have to secure the funding and then make sure there was time to do both the design and construction. And then as I was talking about, the construction would have to be, proof of contractors on site doing the work. We should have a little bit more guidance on that mid-August, but there's no promise that we'll get that guidance mid-August, and it's always changing. So I would say risk-wise, I'd want to talk to Matt on, what we feel like we could do if we really went for it. I'm willing to go for it and work on it and help other departments try to get some solar on last minute. There's also resources from Lawyers for Good Government, which a lot of these slides came from. And they have what they call a sprint hub set up to help munis just in this position where we want to go for it and we only have limited time, and they would help us through the whole process. But it's a gamble on timing, I feel like.
Thanks. Great questions. Anybody else? Well, I just want you to know the Climate Mayors Director, Kate from the Greenville Conference, says hello. And maybe there's some resources from there too. So thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of consent agenda as recommended to council by committee, commission, and board. Is there a motion?
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for items 1, 2, and 4. For the consent agenda, we'll set item number 3 aside for a separate motion.
Okay. Anything on 6
So we have
through
more?
Oh,
There's 10 total.
wait a second,
10?
I'm missing pages.
That's okay.
I'm
So-
not looking digitally. Hang on.
I think that you're pulling 3 and maybe 5. Is that accurate? Leaving 6 through 10? 1, 2, 4.
Point item number 3.
Mhm.
And as far as what came out of finance and personnel,
My understanding is that number 5, we did not receive the stormwater management agreement, so that may need to be pulled as well.
I think it's in the packet.
We did not have the last time.
Okay.
They requested.
Oh,
so items 3 and 5 we will pull.
Mhm.
Everything else is okay.
Okay.
So the motion would be then items 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Is there a second?
Myers, I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving consent agenda items 1, 2, 4, 6 through 10, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consent agenda number 3. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, so the motion on that would be to defer this to a next meeting for a closed session.
To next meeting.
Sound about right, Matt?
Is there a second?
Just my wording. Yes, that's what we want to do. Is it worded okay?
Excellent. Is there a second?
This is Alder Crow, I'll second.
Any comments?
Just a question as to why. I thought this was more like an administrative thing to meet a deadline.
Yeah, I can provide a comment on that. This is a claim that exceeds our self-insured retention level. So our insurance company, CIVMIC, has assigned outside counsel. They have indicated that if there are questions, that they would prefer to schedule this for a closed session when they could attend and answer questions. And so if there is a desire for further discussion, I think that would be appropriate. We are coming up on the deadline for which, if we fail to take action, the claim will be deemed denied, but I think there is still the opportunity to have a closed session to discuss the claim and any potential actions related to it.
Although, I mean, it looks like we still have time. If I understand correctly, the claim was served upon us April 30th. So to be certain that we deny the claim within that time period, benefit of that is it sets a different statute of limitations. And so that's the reason why we want to be sure we deny it, actually, formally deny it, not just have it deemed denied within the 120 days. Now, 120 days still gives us till August 28th. So we still could have a closed session, but by the same token, denying the claim, doesn't necessarily preclude further settlement discussion, about the merits or taking some different position later. So I don't have a strong opinion on whether we should wait, but it does kind of leave us with just one more meeting to take advantage of that altering of the statute of limitations.
And may I ask, so is the change in approach here, Alder Lorman, is that your recommendation, Bill's, or Matt's?
I would say in my consultation with city staff, it's my recommendation, because to get into the weeds of this, there seems to be quite a bit of complexity behind the scenes. Maybe some position and posturing between insurance, some questions about what has been paid out or what could be paid out thus far, where it would leave us. There's even some zoning drawn into this, some review of actual, I don't want to say discrepancies, but
That's getting a little too much into
right.
discussion.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So we felt that having a closed session on this would allow us to flush some of that out.
Can we have a closed session?
I
if
mean, we can still have a closed session and have those sorts of discussions. I don't think the claim, you know, there would be no active claim and no lawsuit going on, but I don't think that precludes us from having further discussions with our insurance counsel about the merits of this and whether we take a different position. But I mean, I do think we want to be sure that we, you know, establish that shortened statute of limitations so that if we don't end up resolving this, we at least know that they've got to make some decisions by a time certain rather than an
Yep.
extended.
And just one more clarifying question. The outside legal counsel that has recommended that we respond with a formal disallowance on or before August 28th, that's our counsel.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've not spoken with, you know, as much
Yep.
as I do about what insurance counsel is advising, but that's what I understand to be, and that's what I would generally, you know, advise is, you know, even if there are things going on that we want to discuss further about the claim, I think a denial at this stage is still appropriate. So we meet that 120-day deadline and clearly establish that statute of limitations.
Alder Myers.
Dave, would you accept an amendment to your motion to deny the claim and schedule a closed session discussion of litigation strategy? Would that be acceptable?
I'm really uncomfortable because, you know, when you look at just the surface of the simplicity of what happened, and a city vehicle destroys private property, you know, and then we're going to sit here and say, sorry, we're going to deny our claim, when I think I wanted to really get some more into that and some more clarification.
I think that's probably best discussed in a closed session.
Correct.
But we also do have a deadline, and we've received legal advice from Matt, our city attorney, and from our outside legal counsel that we should probably just deny this. And there's nothing in that denial that prohibits us from having further discussions and potentially taking action. So
I would second that motion if you're making it as a substitute. Alder Myers.
Brian, can you assist me?
So what I've heard is that there's a substitute motion from Alder Meyer, seconded by Alder Haniro, to amend the motion to read denial of claim and schedule a closed session on the topic for a future meeting, potentially the August 19th council meeting.
that's correct.
Okay, any comments to the substitute motion?
I guess my only concern is just by saying denial of claim, it just sounds like the city isn't willing to take responsibility when there is some portion there that the city is clearly responsible for. And so you can look at the claim from a lot of different angles, right?
But I mean, I don't think all these angles may not necessarily even be fleshed out by the next council meeting. And I mean, I don't know anything about the specifics of the claim other than generally what's in there, but I guess it'd be premature to be too concerned about denial of the claim based upon we think may be some responsibility. I think you need to hear from your insurance counsel that's reviewed this carefully and really determine whether and what extent of liability there may be, if any. But I understand that the optics of denial.
Yep.
But we are doing this, there's a cold procedural purpose to this, and that I think are more important than the optics. You know, we can fix the optics by later having a discussion, and if there turns out to be a reason to reverse the position, then that can still be done, but you know, this procedural mechanism, I think, still remains a pretty important thing to take care of.
Sure.
Okay, Alder Nelson, and then I'm going to call the question.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that I guess I'm asking Matt, by denying, I'm wondering if Alder Lorman can think of it as a technicality just to like stop the clock on this deadline. Am I hearing that right?
More or less, yeah.
So it's not like our decision, it's just like, let's buy some time to discuss this.
Yeah, I'm just putting myself in the constituent's shoes. Happens to be in my district.
I understand, but we're playing the insurance, we're playing by their rules of
Yep.
trying to get this flushed out, and
Well,
Okay.
it's a statutory.
Yeah.
requirement, so.
And so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of denying the claim and Brian, I might need your help, deferring to the next meeting for closed session on 8/19's meeting. Is that accurate?
Well, we
Well,
didn't have
it
a second
wasn't
on my
spec-
motion.
I seconded it.
Oh, you did?
Or
Okay,
I
sorry.
seconded Charles's. but-
Charles
Okay, but-
is
But it wasn't,
potentially.
that's,
Thank you.
So but I haven't withdrawn my motion yet.
but
That
you
is
have the
accurate. I'm
substitute.
calling the question.
Yep, okay.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-2. Is that correct, Brian? Thank you.
Vote on the motion as it has been amended.
I thought Charles's was the
Your substitute?
substitute.
Yeah, it was a substitute.
So I'm okay to move forward? Fantastic. All right, and I appreciate your passion.
I'm doing my job.
Number 5 of the consent agenda. Stormwater Management Maintenance Agreement with 6300 University Avenue LLC. Is there a motion?
I move to defer consideration of this item for a future agenda.
Is there a second?
Madden, I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of deferring the Stormwater Management Maintenance Agreement with 6300 University Avenue to a future agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, give me one moment. Moving on to resolutions, Resolution 2025-34, authorizing participation in the preparation of a cooperative plan with the town of Westport pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 66.0307.
This is Alder Crow. I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-34, authorizing participation in preparation for a cooperative plan with the town of Westport.
Is there a second?
Lorman, second that.
Excellent. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-34, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to Resolution 2025-35, approving the grant application and requirements for the 2026 Transportation Alternatives Program for a B-cycle system in Middleton.
This is Madden. I'll move approval of resolution 2025-35, approving the grant application and requirements for the 2026 Transportation Alternatives Program for B-cycle system in Middleton.
Heniro seconds.
Any comments?
Yes, one comment. Very much in favor of B-cycle system, but I just want to make it clear that I think they need to have some skin in the game of this project. Typically, they expect us to buy their equipment or portions of their equipment. And keep in mind, they are a fee capture service. So I think it's fair for the city of Middleton to provide infrastructure, a place for it to be, access to electricity and whatever is needed, and obviously work with everybody involved in the process to find appropriate location and, of course, additional future funding for this. But do we really want to own the equipment? That's it.
Thank you for that comment. Alder Nelson?
I'm wondering if someone from Head Bike Transit can say whether you guys talked about this and what other cities do. If they have to buy the equipment, what do they do? Do they have a sale on it and then buy it? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know all of exactly the ins and outs, but we did talk about the maintenance aspect of it at Ped Bike and Transit. I think part of the sticking point for us not moving forward was that the city was then responsible for maintenance ourselves, right? And we are not electric bike maintenance specialists. B-Cycle is. And so providing the funding for B-Cycle to do the maintenance is part of the grant funding that we're looking at.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Hearing none, let's see here. All those in favor of approving resolution 2025-35, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to resolution 2025-36, amending the 2025 water utility budget for well number 8 repairs.
Sure, on behalf of Finance and Personnel, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-36, amending the 2025 water utility budget for well number 8 repairs.
Is there a second?
I'll second on behalf of Public Works.
Thank you. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2025-36, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to resolution 2025-37, amending the 2025 capital projects fund budget for the Parisi Park Shelter Project.
This is Nelson. I'll move approval on resolution 2025-37 is, yes.
This is Honora, I'll second.
Any comments?
I would just like, Kylie, a lot of people address the source of the funds. And I just wonder if you would please provide a definitive answer for all of us.
Okay, so the park development funds that were in question tonight, that is something we have earmarked and put into the capital improvement plan for 2023 and 2024 for an amount of 500 that we sit at currently. We do have adequate funding in there through over our $3.8 million. So we do have adequate funding for this project within our park development fund.
Thank you.
Kylie, can you, I was not at the meeting, so I don't know the minutes or notes. Explain the vote that went down and some of the reasons why there was objection.
So at last night's Parks Rec Forestry Commission, both of the agenda items that are presented on your agenda tonight were discussed, and it was a 3-3 vote. 2 of our members were not present. 3 of the members were opposed. Or had an opposition to approving the budget resolution and the award of bid items that are on your agenda. And the arguments were the bid came in high, that funding could be used elsewhere. They weren't sure about the design. There was just question around if it should be prioritized. So those were some of the arguments. I'm happy to provide further information um, uh, on the project, but
What do you think of the design?
I think that we went through the design for 5 years with the Parks Rec and Forestry, and they've seen it multiple times, and they've been out to the site. And collectively came up with an approval of the design. So we moved forward in the bid process. I think it's financially unresponsible to hire a contractor and consultant for $35,000 and move through the design process for 5 years and get to a point where we're awarding a bid for an approved design.
Thank you.
As somebody who chaired parks when this went through the first time, it's good to see this happening because I think it is important. I think it's a very important fixture. And you keep putting new people on these committees and they don't see the old process. And so there's always that risk, but I think we went through years of vetting with this thing. And a lot of these monies can't be used to put in a swing set somewhere because my understanding is this money has to be used for something that everybody in the city has access to from the developer actually paid that money. Being by the trail makes it sort of a city project, and that was one of the rationales. So I think it's great. I'm strong in support of it.
I am vice chair of PRFC, and one of the things that was frustrating, and I think Kylie already pointed this out, the design was already set. There's no more time to talk about that. And if you're new on the committee, I think it's possible for you to go back and find that design or ask for it before the meeting. And as it was explained to us, these bid ranges are really huge. I think the range was from 300,000 to 900,000. And so when we were setting the budget for this in 2023, or am I saying that wrong? Kylie guessed middle high at 500,000. And then when we finally get the bid, it's 800. But we were given that big of a range and our fund can handle it. And I think people were just like, ooh, that's a lot of money. I mean, but it isn't taxpayer money and it's there for that purpose. So I feel bad that there was so much misunderstanding last night.
And that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah.
Really seriously
And that's
appreciate that.
kind of how I felt like it went down.
Thank you.
And I'll say, having formerly been a resident of Park Street that ends at Parisi Park, basically, when my kids were little, so we're talking 20 years ago, this was a really nice park to walk the kids to. And I don't even remember what kind of shelter was there before, if it's the same one, if it's been there over 20 years. So it does need improvement. It does need to be ADA accessible. And that park is used quite a bit, as the neighbors have said, and not just by neighbors either. So, and while I would love to see other parts of our parks be ADA accessible, as Kylie knows, I can see this as one step kind of toward that as well.
So if we do a ribbon cutting ceremony in the future, will Charlie come with us?
Probably.
Thank you. Okay, good.
Just to the point that Randall made, my wife Eva and I love walking to Parisi Park with our kids together. So it's used all over the city, not just the immediate neighbors.
And I'm glad that that Alder Lorman, that you're asking these questions because that was a close vote. And I am glad that the alders that have served on parks and continue to serve on parks are looking backwards to share that history. So Kylie, thank you for your patience as we ask questions.
My memory's not that good, but my son learned to play baseball there about 20 years ago. I don't think there were working bathrooms back then either.
All right, we can improve things. We'll keep working forward. All right, any other comments? I'm already looking towards a celebration. Kylie, that makes me happy. All right, in that case, let's call the question. All those in favor of approving resolution 2025-37, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to resolution 2025-38, approving a development financing agreement and the issuance of a tax increment revenue bond for Greenway Project LLC.
Or on behalf of Finance and Personnel, I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution 2025-38, approving a development financial agreement and assurance of tax increment revenue bond for Greenway Project LLC.
This is Nairo. I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving resolution 2025-38, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resolution 2025-39, amending the 2025 Public Works Capital Budget for the North High Point Traffic Calming Bid Award.
Myers, on behalf of Public Works, I move to recommend the approval of the budget amendment in the amount of $32,080 for the North High Point Road Traffic Calming Project.
Madden will second.
Any comments?
Just glad to see this here because I know we couldn't do it last year because of budget. So I'm glad it's moving forward.
Excellent point. All those in favor of approving resolution 2025-39, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mayor, I just want to thank the residents who participated in our neighborhood traffic management plan process for this item. They went through the entire process. They came to our meetings. Their comments were always on point, and that process is a lot of work for the residents. So I'd like to thank them if any of them are watching tonight.
A few of them are here.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Yep, it was a couple of years.
Thank you. Moving on to award a bid, award a proposal to Altronics Control Systems for well number 8 pump VFD replacement for an amount not to exceed $38,980, subject to city attorney approval of any associated contracts.
This is Madden. On behalf of Public Works, I'll make the motion to award the proposal to Altronics Control Systems for well number 8 pump VFD replacement for an amount not to exceed $38,980 and subject to city attorney approval of any associated contracts.
Myers, I'll second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding a proposal of Altronics Control Systems for well number 8 pump VFD replacement. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 2, award of bid to Parisi Construction for the North High Point Road Traffic Calming Project in an amount not to exceed $67,080, subject to city attorney approval of any associated contracts.
Myers, on behalf of Public Works, I move to award bid to Parisi Construction LLC for the North High Point Road Traffic Calming Project in the amount of $67,080, contingent upon city attorney review and approval of the agreements.
Schaefer will second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the award of bid to Parisi Construction for the North High Point Road Traffic Calming Project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 3, award a bid to Advanced Building Corporation for Parisi Park Shelter for an amount not to exceed $666,666, subject to the city attorney approval of any associated contracts.
This is Nelson. I move approval.
Schaefer seconds.
Any comments? Hearing none, All those in favor of award a bid to Advanced Building Corporation for Parisi Park Shelter for an amount not to exceed $666,666, subject to city attorney approval of any associated contracts, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consideration and discussion of the City of Middleton Fund Balance Policy, and Bill, please take it away.
Do you need a motion?
You want a motion
first?
from us, right? Okay.
I'll
Sure.
move to amend the fund balance policy to, one, increase the target range for general fund unassigned fund balance from 16.7% to 33.3% as a range of subsequent year budgeted expenditures to a range of 25 to 40%. And two, decrease the target appropriation for general contingency from 0.67% of budgeted expenditures to 0.50%.
Lauren, want to second that?
And I can
Any
provide
comments? Yes, Jeff?
I just want to say I can provide a brief update if you
Please,
would like.
please do that.
Yes.
Not everybody was on the finance meeting, and those who are watching may have missed the last meeting. So please give an overview.
Yeah, the city adopted its current fund balance policy in May of 2017. And although the policy has been reviewed regularly during that period, this is the first time that a change has been proposed. There are several items that are covered by the policy, defining fund balance and establishing targets. The two areas that are included in the motion and the discussion from Finance and Personnel Committee is increasing the target level for the city's unassigned fund balance. That would also be our general reserves, or essentially our rainy day fund, which would raise it from the current level of 2 to 4 months of the subsequent year's budget to 3 to 5 months of expenditures for the subsequent year budget. And I think that's a reflection of the level that we have been able to maintain, and plus a desire to allow that to grow if we do have years where we have surplus, to provide us with additional flexibility in the future. There was also a recommendation to reduce the target for the annual budget general contingency, which is an amount we build into the budget that can be allocated by council for unexpected things in the middle of the budget year, to reduce that from 2/3 of 1% of the budget to 0.5% of 1%, 0.5% of the budget. That is in part based on where we realistically have been able to fund that, and looking at the level of utilization of that contingency, plus a recognition that if we have a larger overall general reserve fund balance, that perhaps it would be appropriate to have a smaller annual contingency that would be used first, but in the event of a larger situation or emergency, there is that larger reserve to tap into.
So that's a lot to take in. I know that we struggle with budgets in the state. It's not just our city, but the levy limit puts a lot of pressure on things. I think it is wise to set the money aside in case there is needs. And of course, for the credit score. It's a hard thing right now, especially with citizens, having a hard time affording things, and the prices of things going up, both for our taxpayers and for the city as a whole. Like we saw with the park structures, there's a lot of things we want and things go up in costs. But wise monetary policy is always good, and I think it's a noble thing. So I do appreciate the alders supporting it and making those motions. Does anyone have any comments beyond that? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving, I might need help with the motion.
Would you like me to reread it?
Do you want we could just summarize it, and it would be,
It was to amend the fund balance policy to increase the target range for general fund unassigned fund balance from a range of 16.7 to 33.3% of subsequent year budgeted expenditures to a range of 25 to 40%. And two, decrease the target appropriation for general contingency from 0.67% of budgeted expenditures to 0.50%.
All those in favor of approving the updated monetary policy, please say aye. Moving on to discussion updates on committees, commissions, and boards. Alder Haniro.
I just wanted to note that we've got next week a meeting of the Housing Finance and Strategy Subcommittee that's working on, trying to come up with an affordable housing action plan. And I really appreciated hearing about, Mayor, your showcasing of the city's actions on housing, taking us, I think the message was from good to great. I would like to extend an invitation to you to give that presentation at a joint meeting of Workforce Housing and CDA. We're partnering with CDA to do, they're on the same subcommittees Workforce Housing is on. We're working together this summer on that Affordable Housing Action Plan. I really think it would be great to have you reprise your presentation for us at one of our joint meetings. Abby knows when we have those tentatively scheduled. I think that would it would help us make sure that there's good alignment between what we're trying to do and what you're presenting about housing, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and we don't have any silos inadvertently. So that is my invitation to you.
And as chair of
Much
CDA,
appreciated.
I feel like we can double that invitation.
Much appreciated. I would be honored. Thank you.
Reporting on the EMS committee, which has not met, I do want to praise our EMS people who were in the news today for having delivered a baby with the help of Madison. So they look very happy to get the two EMTs got their picture in the paper. So congratulations.
That is great news. We love hearing about babies. It's 2025. Let's talk all about the babies being born. That's great. Any other committees? Hot topics? All right. I will say we were at the Mustard Festival this weekend. I saw a couple of you. Katie was helping me launch that morning. So much appreciated, Katie. It was a great day. There were so many things. There was also the book fair, right next door. So I know lots of people bought books, and it's great seeing people out and about. I think we had thousands of people in the city.
Yeah.
So that was a wonderful thing. I know we're doing a lot of community activities. I'm just flaking a little bit on what they are, but I know Thursday nights we're doing our concert series.
Yep.
So that I think has a few more weeks if we're getting out and about. And if we know of some upcoming events, please share
Our
them.
night is National Night Out.
Thank you.
Saturday is Battle of the Badges.
All right.
And then, well, we have another meeting. I was gonna say Good Neighbor Fest, but we have another meeting.
Yes, thank you for the reminder on tomorrow night at Lakeview Park, and Battle of the Badges, I think, is Fireman's Park.
Firefighters Memorial.
Firefighters Memorial. Thank you for that reminder. And then Alder Schaefer reminded us that Good Neighbor Fest is at the end of the month, and it's the Good Matey Fest. So I did buy a pirate hat. You're welcome. You can all guess on what that's going to look like. It's going to be fun.
The event is being moved to the high school, is it not?
Yes, geographic location change, everyone. It'll be on the flip side of the high school. I did talk to, you can't get too lost. You can hear the music. I did talk to them about electrical plugins just to make sure. And I have also tried some mustaches to be ready. So if you guys need it for the next meeting, I can bring some extras in. All right, that's all I have. Moving on to convening into closed session.
Okay, so I will need a motion and a second, and then we'll take roll call to affirmatively go into closed session. It would be one, to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851E and G for one, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. And two, discussion of negotiating topics and strategy for negotiations with the town of Middleton for a cooperative boundary agreement for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved in. And this is pertaining to the town of Middleton cooperative boundary agreement and the town of Middleton's incorporation petition, case number 25-CV-2453. In a second closed session item, convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851E for the purposes of one, deliberating and negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, relating to discussion of negotiating topics and strategy for negotiations with the town of Westport regarding the Westport Incorporation petition application and cooperative boundary agreement.
As Schaefer moves, we go into closed session to discuss the things you referenced.
Madden will second.
Any comments? Hearing none.
Okay, roll call vote. Schaefer,
Yes.
Madden,
Yes.
Mayor Kuhn,
Here, yes.
Alder Nelson,
Yes.
Alder Myers,
Yes.
Alder Haniro,
Yes.
Alder Lorman,
Yes.
Alder Crow.
Yes.
Okay, we are in closed session. Give me a moment to stop the feed.